Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, dear Dharma practitioners, in this life journey, if you look for real wisdom or the liberation, you have to develop two kind of tools, two methods, two paths. So, this all methods, path, tool, technique, these words we used only for practice point of view, just to communicate. So when it comes to this development of our life, spiritual development, it is compassion and wisdom. So when it comes to wisdom, wisdom come out of the awareness, and the compassion come out of sacrifice. If you cannot sacrifice, there is no compassion. If there is no awareness, there is no wisdom. So at the same time, that is our higher purpose and main target. And then what are the hindrance? So when it comes to hindrance, ignorance covered through this everything, and under that ignorance, the desire tight and tangle to this sansara. So maintaining desire covered with this ignorance is, we call this very life. When you able to untangle the desires or the lust and uncover the ignorance, then you reach to awareness and the loving kindness or the compassion or the sacrifice. So this uncovering the ignorance and untangling the desire or the lust is not kind of like a separate exercise. It is not you can separate it from you. It is not, and even you cannot resist or you cannot put a label or bad or wrong like that. This is life. This all mix with the life. Only thing is what you repeat become stronger. So that once it come to empower or repeat, why we repeat and why we empower or why we bring back that whatever we keep doing? Because we look for the satisfaction and happiness. So when it comes to very conventional satisfaction, what is that? It is the comfort of your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. So whatever you like to see, and whatever you like to hear, whatever you like to smell, whatever you like to taste, whatever you like to feel, whatever you like to think. If these things happen, conventionally we say it is a good life. But when it comes to Dharma, it is different. So recognizing the true nature of existence is the true life or the good life. So then The reality of the existence and the reality of our experience. Why these two things different? Because whatever we like to see, hear, smell, taste, if it is happening that way, why it is wrong? Why we cannot take it as the true nature of life? Because if you look very carefully, that is what people looking in this life. That is where this human existence, eons by eons, keep chasing, chasing, chasing. Sansara to sansara. Keep going looking for satisfaction. So it's how wrong? Why we call it wrong? Because if you really become happy with when you see something, when you hear something, how you can say it is wrong? And you, in what condition you say it is wrong? What point of view that you come to a conclusion or the idea to tell this is wrong or that is wrong? So then when it comes to the society, it doesn't matter for beggar to millionaire, ordinary person to the king or the president. In that person, in that environment, if that person receiving whatever he like with his eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and he having a good life. So the thing is this: when it comes to ignorance and unawareness, the one of the major quality of the ignorance is we don't recognize things as it is. So then just go to the happiness that we experience through our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. In that very moment of whatever we experience, whoever, we mostly is think it coming from outside. So we look for the happiness and we become happy with our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. With eye object, ear object, nose object, tongue object, body object, or the mind object. And we think it is coming from outside. And that's why we keep following, we keep going. So in conventional life, our all happiness depending from outside. But when it comes to awareness, so that is the very nature of unawareness, because you don't see the true nature of the whatever happening. So you become happy, and that in that happiness you think it coming from outside. So when you become aware, you take it to another angle. You start to see it from another angle. So what is that? So that is nothing to do with the outside. It's mainly depend on your mental formations or the phenomena or the sanskara and the mental condition. See, that now two different way. In the Dharma, it is five aggregates or the mainly sanskara and the mental condition. And in a conventional life, it is about outside. And so once you start to go with the outside, there is no end. Another thing is, in that journey, you don't see this moment by moment, moment by moment, whatever arising, whatever existing and disappearing, you don't see that pattern. You trying to replace, you put one or top of something and then another thing top of that. So again and again, again and again, you keep doing it and then it become habit. So once you are in that current of, in that habit, you cannot see the change. And when you cannot see the change, you come to kind of idea about permanent. So that is where the self start to play the role. So once you have that permanent idea, then it start to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. So that is what the ignorance is kind of like a covered this everything in a kind of like a dark layer, and you cannot see. Under that, it keep tightening, putting tangles again and again, again and again, again and again, and there is no end. So when it come to your life, if you look for the satisfaction with this outside world, there is no end. So that doesn't mean you should stay away from it. No, only thing is you have to understand the process. Understanding process, stay away away from process is two different things. So awareness, when you develop the awareness, it brings the clarity to the moment of experience. In that experience, you understand the deeply the condition of the mind can change the situation. So that way you become more aware about the mind rather than the outside situation. And that way you change, then that awareness will help you to recognize the very nature behavior of the mind and the mental formations. And that behavior always change. So once you recognize the mind change, it totally become different the way you're going to respond to your mind. Mostly in day-to-day life, we don't see our mind change. We see outside change, but we don't see the mind change. But if you see very clearly how the mind change, you slowly start to become very, very, very different person when you're going to react. So then how are you going to achieve through to this wisdom through the meditation? So when it comes to meditation, our main primary mental object is the inhalation, exhalation, or the feeling or the sensation. So when it comes to inhalation, exhalation, when you observe inhalation, exhalation, while you're observing inhalation, exhalation, what happening, you start to recognize the very behavior of the inhalation, exhalation. Sometimes it becomes rough, heavy, soft, warm, cold, so like that. While you're observing that, you start to recognize, according to the condition of the mind, the pattern, the very nature of the breathing change. So as example, when you get angry, the way you breathe change. When you become happy, the way you breathing change. When you sad, the way you breathing, your breathing pattern change. When you worry, your breathing pattern change. So what does that mean? That according to the condition of the mind, the way we intake with it, just we now recognize with the breathing, the whatever intake with our senses as perception change. So what you recognize, once you recognize that, so now you get with the breathing, now you cannot deny it, you cannot reject it. It is very life, it is your very life. That is the bottom of your life. Once you experience with that, and when the mind change, and also at the moment by moment, moment by moment, you recognize the mind change, and then you become more aware with your bodily, verbally, and mentally actions. Why? Because whatever you do as a reaction for the condition of your mind, right away going to change. Why? Because the mind change. So that is where you naturally become slow down to react. So that is the wisdom that you gain observing and recognizing and understanding. So this is a process. Once you become that much, aware to observe how the mind behave, and according to the mind how that you have to react, in that awareness your bodily, verbally, mentally actions become slow down. In that slowdown you develop the clarity. In that clarity you have the peace, calmness, that the confident. So those are that the extra things that you gain through this process. And once you come to that point, that your awareness is become kind of like a gift. It is the bliss that you develop and it become a gift. And that is where you start to share your awareness. And when you become more aware, when you develop the awareness naturally, you start to untangle the desires or the lust. And once you become aware, you cannot deny, you cannot stay away from sacrificing. It's naturally, it's naturally come out of awareness. But what we does mostly, we try to practice generosity, but we forget the awareness. It's just become, it is good conventionally, it become a good action. But mostly, if you don't develop the awareness that whatever you practice as generosity, it's very difficult to go backward and reverse the current. Slow. So once it come through the awareness, it's become natural. And that's why when you have the compassion or the love, you don't try to remember. Your loved ones, you don't try to remember anything. It's natural, it's there. So that come out of the awareness. See, when you have the awareness, it facilitates the compassion or the love. And when there is the love or the compassion, that naturally the sacrifice going to be there. So that is a process of this journey, that you develop your spirituality. So when it comes to that, when you have the love and the compassion and the awareness, there are three stages. One is receiving, then the next one is developing, and the third process is sharing or giving. So as a child, newly born child, look what that child need. Love and awareness. Parents should give the love or the compassion and the awareness. You have to be so alert. You cannot plan anything. That's why becoming parents, becoming mother, father, it's kind of like with the compassion, You are similar to Buddha. Another thing is with the awareness also, you kind of like come to a sharp, clear moment because you cannot plan anything. And you have to always ready to change whatever. Even you go to sleep, suddenly the child awake, then you have to awake. And you go somewhere, maybe on the way, suddenly you have to stop the car and you have to take care of the child and you have to clean the child. Maybe you go anywhere, any place, it doesn't matter. You go to the monk or the guru or the temple, it doesn't, child don't care. So but you have to change all the plans according to the necessary conditions in that moment. See how the enlightened masters live. So what is the enlightened mind? The very nature of the enlightened mind. No plan. Go according to necessary conditions. See how when you become a mother, father, how you start to, to change your life and you don't have any anger, hatred, jealousy. You have only the love. See, now you develop these two paths, love and compassion. So that is a more conventional way that you develop it. But just I giving you an example. So how you can develop it through the meditation and the more deeply, more spiritually. So, and then when you become young, what you have to develop? You have to develop the love and the awareness. That is where all the success going to be in your life. Material success, conventional success, physical success. So everything going to be with your awareness and the love or the compassion. And when you get old, what is the most beautiful thing that can give to your loved ones, or whatever what you can share with others, and what you can give you to your grandchildren as grandparents? Love and awareness. So the three stages I break down just to understand to your life. If you as a grandparents, if you get so mad, angry, you know, greedy, no any grandchildren going to be around you. They start to make fun out of you, make jokes, stay away. You become kind of like a, toy. So it's like that. They know how to play with you. But if you give the love, grandchildren waiting to see you, you know, and they like to be with you. And also the awareness. And as a grandparents, when you get old, you cannot go crazy like, young people. When you become elder, you cannot react like others. You become more slow. You take time. You see things, but you don't suddenly, jump into it. And sometimes you just laugh, you know, and sometimes you give a space for them to do things. And it's not going to work, but still you don't say anything. You just encourage them. You don't criticize them. But in your mind, you have the awareness, you know what it is. But still, you be with the society, you be with the family, you be with others, and knowingly it not going to work, it not going to be something else. But you don't reject it. You just accept, you just go with them. See how your awareness, change the pattern, the way you go. So then remember the three steps: love and the compassion and the awareness. and the sacrificing and the awareness. For children, you have to give. For young, you have to develop it. For elders, you know, you have to share it with others. So, like that way, if you able to develop the love and the compassion or the sacrifice in very conventional life, it take you slowly, little by little, deeper beyond your sensual experience. And through the meditation, we achieve another way. So this both path is possible, because once you develop the awareness, it is just not you have to practice the meditation. No, the awareness is, it can happen anywhere. It no need sitting. Only thing is you have to have the alert mind. But through this samsaric journey, that whatever the things we accumulated, it is very difficult for us to develop it suddenly. That's why we go through this kind of practice. So then yourself remember, in your life, like your right hand and left hand, always keep your awareness and the generosity or the sacrifice close to you, and without any condition or without any limitation. Whenever you have the opportunity, try to develop it. Open your heart to that. And when you go in that way, you need two things. One is discipline, self-discipline. It is not, controlling. Controlling is totally different word. Self-discipline come out of understanding. What you want. Once you recognize that, once you see the purpose, naturally you become self-disciplined towards it. So one is the self-discipline. Other one is the teachings or the dharma. So the self-discipline come out of the recognizing the purpose, or the dharma or the teachings come out of the prince. Those are the two paths that you have to develop in life. And find the higher purpose and recognize it and be very clear with it. Once you become very clear with the purpose, naturally you start to become disciplined deeply, and it become more successful for you. When you don't have the purpose, you are available for anything. So then look yourself and see again and again and again. Rather than telling to children or others, co-workers, don't do this, don't do that, or like that way. We are not like animal, to maintain like that. No, give them the purpose. Look yourself, the be very clear with the purpose. And once you become very clear with the purpose, you're going to have the clear self-discipline. Another thing is the dharma or the teachings. It mostly come out of the good friends. So then watch the people around you, and then remember yourself that whoever that brings you the greed, hatred, and the delusion, be careful. And whenever you have the opportunity, and try to share the greed, that the loving kindness, compassion, and the generosity and the wisdom. So that way maybe you can help for them. So otherwise, at the same time, look yourself and try to be with some people, whoever have the loving kindness, generosity, and the wisdom more than you. So that will help you to go in this path. And sometimes we just try ourselves. We have our own way to go, but sometimes it's not going to work. There was a person, and he was afraid for his own footsteps and his own shadow. He was afraid. So what he did, he started to run, and he ran fast and faster. He running. And then what happened? When he put one step down, then another step up, he couldn't escape from his own footsteps and the shadow wherever he goes, and he couldn't get out of it. Then somehow he came across with his spiritual master, that he saw somebody sat under a tree. And then without even going little closer, little bit from far away, he was so tired, keep running, trying to escape from his own footsteps and from his own shadow. And he came closer to this master, and the master saw this person was afraid, so tired, and asked, "Son, what happened? Where you go?" And then he told, "This is my journey. This is what happened to me. I am so afraid for this my own shadow and my own footsteps. I can't escape. I keep running." Then that master told, "My son, come under the tree and come to the shadow and sit here. When you sit, no any footsteps. And when you go into the shadow, you cannot find your shadow." So when you sitting means you become self-disciplined. And when you go into the shadow means you go into the Dharma. You get the shade out of the Dharma, out of good friends, out of teachings. So like that, sometimes we try to escape from us through this sansaric journey, struggling, and keep chasing and looking for satisfaction, or maybe we trying to escape from one thing and get into another thing. That is our life. But we don't see the end of this journey. We keep running. And sometimes people get tired. They hate themselves. They worry about themselves. And sometimes they kill themselves. We experience it. Why? Because they think this all within them, within their own shadow and within their own footprints. So they don't go into any kind of that something, or they maybe they don't have good friends, or maybe they don't have higher purpose. So in the sansaric journey, you keep running, and maybe you hurt yourself, you worry yourself, and then you keep running behind looking for happiness and satisfaction. But there is no end. So then remember, the real happiness and the real satisfaction come out of the, the nibbana, or the liberation or the transformation that you can gain through this practice. For that, remember to go under the shadow of the Dharma and then sit yourself and practice in samatha and vipassana. That will help you to gain the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. So, with that, I bless upon everyone with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy, and peaceful. May no harm come to you. May no difficulties come to you. May no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding, and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. During this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava ittavata cha ammihi sampadang punya sampadang sabbe devanumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe satta anumodantu Sabba sampatti siddhiyai dhamme punya kammang asavakkaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.